Oh, hi there. What am I doing, you ask? Well, I'm just initialing my initials in all of these books to keep them separate from other people's books. And I'm trying to do it in an artful way, but it's an exceeding amount of work. You know, there's a lot of work in artwork. That's for sure. Do you think there's an easier way? You think I should do a reproduction? Oh, you mean I should do a print? Oh, that might work. Just like a seed reproduces itself into other plants, a print reproduces its print into art into many pieces. I could do 100, I could do 1,000. Yes. Well, why stop there? I could do 10,000. I'd be in business, that's for sure. Why? And I could put it on my t-shirts, my little initials, and that'll keep Pappy Winkle from taking all my clothing, and he doesn't like to do laundry on that old washboard, just the scrubbing. Yes, that's a great idea. I think we've got the plan. So what we're going to do, you can try this too. We're going to make a little design that could be put on your t-shirt. It could be put on clothing if you use the graphic ink, or you could put it inside of, you can just do a paper print and look like a business card almost, this kind of thing. You see that my final image that I've worked toward has my initials and it has a design. I've got the cross and an arrow and some circular things behind it. And that is kind of like a logo combined with your monogram, your initials. So when I say monogram, I mean this kind of thing, little initials. When I say logo, you all know what I'm talking about, but simple, powerful, black and white imagery that combines with letters. So we're just combining a logo with a monogram. And you need to do at least 6 sketches. And here's some that I've come up with already. Look at all these sketches that I did, drawing my lettering in different ways, different initials. And we're going to use graph paper to do this. Make it at least 3 inches by 4 inches, and or maybe it was no bigger than that. Always helped with grid paper to break the sections up like a grid drawing. I cut this in half this way, that's 1.5 inches. I cut it in half this way, that is 2 inches. And then you can make an X from one corner to the other. And this gives you a basic grid in which to begin to think about your initials. There we go. So I'm just going to use somebody else's initials. We're going to go with KR. And I could make the K exclusively in this area and the R in this area. Or I could make the K and the R here and the image here. Or so many different options of how that goes. A lot of times people like to make one overlap the other. So I'm going to set this K part way down in the other one like that. And then I'm going to put an R overlapping the K. It gives them kind of a relationship. So you have to think, do you like that kind of lineup? Or would you rather see, let me do this really quickly. Would you like to see the K and the R side by side? I'm just doing this very sloppy to give you sort of an orientation of how these things could be placed. Or I could put my K and my R kind of like that, right? My initial idea is I like the way this looks, and this looks kind of boring. And on and on how you could do this. And you can see all the different things I tried, how I tried the KR here, the K and the R here. I tried reversing one of the letters. Just so many options. So try at least 6. Now after you have your favorite design, I have many sketches here, but take your tracing paper, or little masking tape to either side. Try to center this very nice and tape this down and just trace over this. with your pencil. Itself has two sides. I call this sort of the working side, which got this lip here. The ink will go in here. Then you have this side where it's flat, and this is the side that goes against the paper when you print. Now, leave the lettering straight up the way we want to see it. Kind of center it. Keep all the lines parallel to each other, the side of the frame, and rub over that tape. It's now sticking there. And now trace over it right on the screen. I'm actually working on two different images right now, this Art World one and these initials. And what you do next is you take your screen filler and you paint this in with this blue looking material. I'll demonstrate a little painting with this on this one. We may jump back and forth between these two images. Okay, after the screen drawing fluid has dried, we're going to put on this screen filler, which is this color here, which blocks off the screen, and this is protecting this area. You'll see how it works. Now what we want to do is mask off the area with tape. I try to make it a nice square area. It also means you use less of your screen filler this way by using tape. Of course, this tape can come off later. You want to have a nice fit. These bubbles aren't so great, but press this down the whole way across. Now I have tape here and here. We've got the original tape here, and then the screen filler will go in around this area. At the four corners of this, I like to put an eraser, a little block of wood. You can see that in the four corners here to help hold it up off of the. I want this to be touching the table because it will bleed through and cause problems. The same thing with the ink. We always have it elevated a little bit. So it's not a bad idea to shake up the screen filler. Make sure the lid's tight first. Once you might have to stir it also. Here you go. That's what it looks like. It doesn't take very much. You take like a spoonful of this or less, depending on the size of your image. Get a nice portion of that across there, probably a little more over here, and take your squeegee and we hold this nice steady pressure and we do a downward stroke, trying to make this a nice smooth all the way to the tape. And we can go back the opposite way. We do that twice and we have nice coverage. Now we're just going to let that dry, and you can speed drying time on both of these fluids with a hair dryer. Now here we are in my favorite step, and that is to wash out the blue ink, and we're going to turn the water on. And we're just a little bit of water, bring that over on here. That's probably plenty. Start to just sort of swishy that around with your fingers. You could also use a sponge, but what's happening is it's dissolving the blue, and the red should stay put. You can also rub from behind. That seems to work even better. and this allows the water to come through. Eventually, this is where the ink will come through this pattern. See how beautiful that is? Now we're going to do this little one here, my monogrammed logo. Rubby-dub-dub in the tub. Swishy, swishy, wishy. Washy, washy, washy. When all the blue is gone out, you have the idea. We're ready to print after this dries. Now you want to keep this end elevated initially with this eraser, and we're going to put a little bead of ink here. Now, one thing I should mention is you see this is backwards, and it is actually going to print backwards, and that's not right. The way I showed you earlier is that you need to trace this with just the way you want to see it, facing up, and that will be fine. We don't have to reverse or make the lettering backwards. So when you see me printing backwards, it's a mistake, but hopefully you won't make the same one I did. Now, this, sometimes you need to have this propped up so there's space under here. And when you go to print, you have to take that out to print it. So I'm going to put this little card under here. Say it's about, I think that's parallel lines here and here. And I think I have it almost centered on the card. It's kind of hard to line up. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to take this ink. I'm going to print a gold one and just get a little of this out here. Will not take very much for an image this small. Now the ink is a bit chunky, and I probably should add water to it, but we'll try this and you get to see if this is too chunky or not. Okay, take your squeegee, make sure that this is fully resting on the paper. We're going to try to do this in one sweep. Firm, steady pressure. Press over that. Stop when you get toward the bottom of it. And carefully lift this up and peel this away. And this is the moment of truth. You know, is it a good print or not? And we see very nice, except for this where it's bleeding out under the tape. So we would have to look at our tape and make sure that we get it down fast so it doesn't do that again. I'm going to show you how to print this one. It's no different than the other one, except that there's a few variations. If you want to put it on this paper or it has bark on it or a wood grain, you can do that. I'm going to print on this wood-like bark looking paper, and I'm going to line that up first. See, try to keep everything centered. Make this design mostly gold. I added some water to it and put a little bit more of a generous bead of gold up here than we did on the last one, because this is a bigger image. This is still probably more than enough. And if I want to mix colors, I take some black, and a palette knife works fine to put out your colors as well. Try to take half of that over here. It's always good to run a couple prints while you're going so that you're using some of this excess ink that you have happening here. That might be not quite enough. Make sure you're always using this always for the black and this spoon always for the gold, so we're not contaminating the colors. Now we're going to take this like before, the gap, the eraser's out, and we're going to go down through once, and one smooth, firm pressure sweep is ideal. Sometimes you can go back the other way, this way, if you feel like it's insufficient, but that might cause some extra bleeding. Now, the moment of truth. Is it good or bad? Okay, so the print itself was very nice print. However, it doesn't show up very good. It's not very contrasty. So all in all, probably not going to be my keeper. Not bad. Yeah. Oh. 10,000 is a much bigger number than I had imagined. I think there's got to be an easier way. You brought me something? Oh, it's an acorn. What do you say? Don't build, grow? Is that like a riddle or something? I like riddles. Don't build, grow. Well, I know that mankind, we build things, and if things begin to fall apart, you have to repair them, and at the end, they fall apart anyhow. So that would be the build part, grow. Like this acorn. I could grow with an acorn, right? Yes. If I plant this acorn, it can grow into a great big tree. It create more little trees. Squirrels can play in the limbs. Maybe even a young couple will take a picnic basket, sit in the shade. They'll eat their peanut butter and jelly. Maybe have some potato salad. Yeah. Oh. Gave me a thought. It just keeps going without me. Perhaps life doesn't require me to work in the ways that I've been working. In step with nature would be good. 10,000 prints? What was I thinking? One acorn?